Well, moving on, conventionally, elections are considered a country's internal affair, but this notion is changing rapidly, especially in Latin America, where, remember, political ideologies are guiding bilateral ties. US President Trump's policy of openly backing right-wing parties has now added a new political dimension in elections across Latin America.
The latest case in point is Brazil, where President Lula da Silva and former President Jair Bolsonaro's son are locked in a feisty electoral contest. With over 2 months to go before the election day, a diplomatic row has erupted between Brazil, Argentina and the US. Washington has revoked the visa of Brazil's ambassador. According to reports, Trump wants Brazil to approve his nominee to be the next US ambassador in Brasilia.
But the country's President Lula da Silva has refused to buy this argument. In a statement, Lula said that the decision is motivated by ideological reasons and called it a deliberate escalation of hostile measures against Brazil. The latest escalation, remember, comes after Brazil denied visas for 2 American officials who sought to meet with election authorities. Reports suggest that the risk of political exploitation could have been the reason behind the denial of those visas.
However, the U.S. State Department said that officials wanted to visit Brasilia to discuss, quote, election integrity, religious freedom and freedom of expression. The Trump administration maintains cordial ties with Jair Bolsonaro's right-wing political party when a Brazilian court sentenced him for leading a coup plot after his 2022 election defeat. Washington called it a witch hunt and imposed additional tariffs.
Now, a similar situation has been unfolding between Brazil and Argentina. Brasilia has asked the Argentine ambassador to leave the country and has downgraded its mission in Argentina to the level of charge d'affaires. The diplomatic row follows a series of remarks made by the Argentine president. During an interview, Javier Milei launched a no-holds-barred attack on Lula. He called him a convicted thief and a corrupt individual. Remember, Lula da Silva did spend 580 days in jail starting April 2018, but his conviction was later overturned on procedural grounds.
Javier Milei made similar remarks during a speech in Brazil where he was attending an event hosted by Lula's rival candidate, Flavio Bolsonaro. Milei has endorsed Flavio along with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Despite global endorsements, Flavio Bolsonaro's electoral prospects are not looking right. According to a latest assessment by the Quest poll, Lula is leading Brazil's presidential race with 39% votes. Flavio is trailing on the second position with 30%, who has very little time left to bridge that gap.
That's right. And so the first presidential debate, remember, is scheduled for the 16th of August when Flavio Bolsonaro and Lula da Silva will come face to face. The second debate will take place a month later on the 14th of September. The presidential elections are scheduled on the 4th of October this year. And if no candidate wins an outright majority, frontrunners will clash in the runoff election on the 25th of October. The victorious candidate will take oath as Brazil's president on the 5th of January next year. Now remember, Brazil's race to power is shaped by geopolitical pressure, domestic issues and ideological differences. Flavio Bolsonaro is in the fray to carry forward his father's legacy, and Lula da Silva is hoping for a victory amid pressure from Argentina and the United States.
The stage is set for a high-octane political and diplomatic showdown in and around Brazil's presidential race.